Good evening, everyone. I'm Akush Lopinder. It's wonderful having you back with us. The education minister is concerned. You see, the question of whether schools will be ready for classes is one that arises ahead of every new academic year. This time around, officials have to contend with a bigger problem: the how and can schools function effectively with the incessant load shedding here in New Providence.
I am satisfied that the executives at BPL indicated to us that things are getting better every single day, and looking forward to the day, and I believe it's somewhere around November, December, then this will all be finished. The new power plant will be on stream. But if our power is going out, obviously it's going to have a negative effect on school. Now,
Minister Lloyd says it's something the ministry will have to manage, considering there are schools built without windows. When asked if there is a strategic plan in place, here's his response.
Not really, because you'd have to understand that available space to accommodate that many students is just not easily available. So not quite. We're just going to have to go through it. It seems as if the practice is 2 to 3 hours a loss of power on a given day, so that can be managed. If it is twice a day or more than that, that's going to be a problem.
Weighing in on how the outages will affect students, Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson charged that BPL is not a reliable service.
If we're going to rely on technology, then what are the alternative energy producing avenues that we're going to use for our schools? And so that's a major concern for us.
Meantime, the ministers promised that if there are too many power outages, alternative arrangements will have to be explored. Well, the Prime Minister admitting what many BPL consumers have long accepted in the face of frequent power outages here in the capital, and that's that New Providence is indeed in a crisis. The admission came during a tour of Bahamas Power and Light's Clifton Pier and Blue Hills generation plants on Sunday, at which time the Prime Minister was briefed on the progress of work being carried out to return consistent power to the island. The Prime Minister again stressed the government's commitment to doing whatever is necessary to alleviate the problem. At last report, a 6-man team of specialists from Power Transmission's engineering company, Philadelphia Gear, had started working to return an additional 20 megawatts of power to service at the Blue Hill Power Plant. BPL's peak demand is 250 megawatts. BPL has also started releasing a daily fact sheet detailing the extent of the problems and the work being carried out to return the system to normal. Well, Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Senator Fred Mitchell reasons that the BPL crisis is the result of the appointment of its new management team, a team approved by the Prime Minister whose bad decisions, he said, led to multiple fires at multiple power plants on multiple islands and a loss of significant power to generation capacity. According to Mr. Mitchell, no amount of $1,000 ads blaming the PLP can absolve the F&M government of what he called this epic failure, pushing BPL to the brink of collapse and threatening the country's economy. Mr. Mitchell says the Prime Minister should have taken full responsibility for the crisis in leadership and apologized to Bahamians. The PLP chairman added that Dr. Minnis is in charge of commanding 35 of 39 seats in Parliament and in control of the public purse, yet the most he could come up with is a slick and dishonest PR campaign of political bluster and deflections. The former cabinet minister is referring to a full-page ad plastered across the front page of this morning's Tribune, accusing the PLP of BPL's power company's current state. Meantime, the Prime Minister today making an appearance at the University of the Bahamas, the start of its new fall semester. During his hour-long visit there, the Prime Minister toured the new small island sustainability and the Portia Smith buildings, speaking with students about the government's tertiary grant program.
It was interesting to see the amount of students that are taking advantage of the free tuition, the grant. Went to one particular class and all the students are taking advantage of it. Previously, you review the university's data, previously many of the students were part-time, but now most of the students are full-time, meaning that there were many students who could not afford it, and they're more than happy and delighted that they can afford it.
Now, the government has received some flack for lowering the qualifying GPA from 3.0 to 2.0. Here's the Prime Minister's response to that.
It was interesting to see the amount of students that are taking advantage of the free tuition, the grant. Went to one particular class, and all the students are taking advantage of it. Previously, you reviewed the university's data. Previously, many of the students were part-time, but now most of the students are full-time, meaning that there were many students who could not afford it, and they're more than happy and delighted that they can afford it.
According to University President Dr. Rodney Smith, some 5,000 students are enrolled for classes this semester. 95% of new students are taking advantage of the grant.
We've seen an increased enrollment in Grand Bahama as well as here in Nassau. If I were to estimate, we normally bring in about 1,200 students for the freshman year. This year we brought in over 1,500 students, and we're still counting. Our capacity for new students is 1,700 students.
The Prime Minister says he'll consider travel expenses for students for the next budgetary cycle. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.